All right, so kind of cool to get a few days in a row, a few reps building. It makes a big difference. You can make some big steps. Yesterday was one of those, kind of getting some things solidified in that nose area. And so now it's time to open the toolbox. Yesterday, we got these two bearing blocks for the engine made, and now I will pull all these staples, and then we can cut this and get prepared for what's going to happen up here. And now we can release all of this that we did yesterday. Get the blue tape clamp out of the way. Can get this out of the way. And then we can get this one out of the way. All right, so there we are. Now we're ready to make some more moves, and then we'll figure out exactly how we're going to attach these to this. Actually, I think it'll be pretty simple if I clamp a block here on the top side of the line and clamp the piece to this part right here. That will automatically it goes underneath here anyway, and then all we have to do is clamp something on the top of the line here, and we'll check it for level and all that. Make sure we're looking good. And then we will get that epoxied in place. And I'll figure out how to clamp it overall. But there's always a way. All right, let me get set up here, and then we can get going. All right, so these are all good now. I didn't really hit the end with sandpaper because they actually look really good. But I will before I throw it on before I put it on the plane. I'll just hit this a little bit just to rough it up a little bit, and maybe there's maybe a little squeeze out here that I can flush up. Looks really super good on the end here as well. So now it's time to cut the plywood off, and again, I'll be using my rocker tapered jig. And I'm hitting I got to adjust something because there's a certain spot in the slot here where when this one goes in right here. There are these little nylon screws that you push out to help make sure that you're tight with your slot. But I don't want to be too tight where it's hard to push. So I just have to back out just a touch on these, not even just nudging the screwdriver really. There we go. Now we're back to nice and smooth. And it's still locked in side to side. I think I'm going to make a video just demonstrating the Rockler tools that I consider essential, if at least for me, for building these airplanes. So it's this is definitely one of them. I mean, I have cut my scarf joints. I have squared up my plywood, and I've cut tapers for these, as you saw. And now I'm going to use it to trim these as well. And I should still be in the same place where I was before. So I haven't moved anything. All I did was set it aside, because if you think about it, I'm still dealing with the exact same angle. And let me bring your tapers here, so you can see. This is what I consider one of the biggest advantages, is I'm still dealing with the same angle. I haven't changed anything. So now all I have to do is just get this where my line is, and you can see on the end here, I just made a little line just as a reference point. So where the blade's gonna come out here, and then this part here just fades right out. So once I lock this in place, and I don't know if you saw, all I did was slide it back and forth until I got in this exact location. So and we're ready to saw. Here we go. Now you can see I have a perfectly smooth edge here, and everything worked out perfect. So I love it. All right, let's cut another one. All right, now we have two exact matching pieces, and you can't argue with that. Sweet. All right, so we get to go to the next step. All right, so I just clamped these in place, and really I just wanted to take a couple of measurements. So inside dimension needs to be 10 inches once the plywood is here, so I should have 10 1/4 right now, and these are just pushed back in the corner. They're square up against the firewall, and I should be around 10 1/4 right now. And I'm actually inside that, so I'm actually 9 7/8. Okay, so I think I've got this. I think I've got this figured out, and I'm trying to decide what direction I want to go here. So the critical thing is that this interior dimension is a square, or it's a rectangle shape, but it's square to the firewall. It's 10 1/4 inches wide, because when you sheet the 1/8 inch on the inside, it'll be at 10 inches, which according to the plan, that's where I need to end up, is at 10 inches inside width. Now, somewhere along the line here, and I think I know what I did, I believe when I made my template on the bottom, I then moved in 1/8 inch to account for, like I moved another 1/8 inch in to try and account for the plywood, but I should have moved 1/8 inch out. So I lost an 1/8 inch there, and then somehow I've lost another 1/8 inch because my distance from my board here is like 1/4 inch. So either I have miscalculated the angle of this board back here, and that should have been different, but it can't be, because it's actually, when I look underneath, it's actually running parallel to my line. So and I'm all the way, I'm not all the way back in the corner. So really what I think needs to happen here, I guess I have number one, I'm gonna make a form that is 10 1/4 inches, and I'm gonna make sure it's completely square, something that I can slide in here and clamp to this piece here up against the firewall. That will guarantee me that I'm gonna maintain this proper centering and 10 1/4 all the way through. So that's easy enough, and it'll actually help when I'm trying to clamp this, get the sides pulled in against these. What I need to decide is, am I going to build these all over again, or am I just going to take up this space on the inside with some other material? So that is the question. And I think at this point I am undecided. So give me a couple minutes to think through this, and then I'll get back with you. All right. Okay, so I've checked with the guys at Team Minimax, and laminating a piece of material to the outside is not a problem. So my instincts told me that. Since the engine mounts are still going through this laminated section here, so what I'm going to do is first I'm going to find something to make this form out of, and get that clamped in place, then I can get some exact measurement to what I need to fill those gaps. I'm pretty sure it's a 1/4 inch, but and then I'll have to clamp that onto the outside of each of these, and then that'll put a halt to this process today. But I think there's some other things we can do. So, all right. So let me get you caught up here. I've got plywood splinters, but this is not about the plywood splinters. So what I did is I made a 10 1/4 inch plywood section here. I made sure it was nice and square all the way around. So and then I just clamped it tight up against the firewall here on the center line. And then just as a double check, I had a center line here, so I came over on my table center line just to make sure that everything was staying in line, and we're right on the line here and we're right on the line there. So I'm 100% confident that we are going right down the middle. And now the next step will be to place this up against this and then figure out what that distance is right there. And then I'm going to add that much material to the outside, this outside angled piece here. And that will take care of the problem. I don't know, I'm not completely sure how I know how I got 1/8 of an inch off. I'm not sure how I got the other 1/8 of an inch off, but it's cool. It's another one of those deals. We just work through it as we go, and it's wood. It's really forgiving. So, all right, I'm gonna get a couple marks going, a couple measurements, and then we'll make a couple of those pieces. All right. So I realized that I had to cut a couple of circles, half circles out, or 1/4 circles, whatever those are, pieces of pie. How about that? Out of my board. I left the back portion intact. I'll show that to you here in a second, but I think you can see it there. And that was just to allow me some space to get in there and do some clamping. And so once I'm satisfied that I've got everything in position, you can see now that everything is where it should be. I double checked the center line here. It's right on, and our distance between is 10 1/4 inches, exactly what we need. And this will work out great. And when we pull this in, I'll actually clamp a block above this line right here, and then this will get pulled up to where it actually goes, which is like right there. So then we'll have a block there to clamp the front to. Then all we got to do is figure out how we're going to pull in these sides. And I think at this point I am probably going to use the screw method. It seems like some screws and really big washers is what I did that on my 103 a long time ago, and I really think that's the way to go. Just drill some pilot holes and put some wood screws in there, and then once everything's dry, you back those wood screws out and actually put then you just drill into there with like a 3/16 bit or something, and then put a dowel in there, and that seems to work good. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Since I have the board here as an option, I do have other options for clamping that I can do, and it's just a matter of getting this kind of reach over the top. However, in reality, this may actually work out okay. The distance that I can travel today. I'm going to have to take these out, and I'm going to have to put this. It is exactly 1/4 of an inch on both sides, so I just have to take these out and add 1/4 of an inch of material to the outside, 1 inch by 1/4. So I'm going to get those cut right now, and we'll get those epoxied and clamped on here, and then we'll let that cure before we can go to the next step in this area. So yeah, all right, cool. Let me get a couple boards cut here, and we'll be in good shape. All right, so that's where I'm going to stop today, and I'll get kind of things cleaned up. You can kind of see how this gets clamped in place now that all of that is out of here, and it's just fits nice and tight up against the firewall, right on the center line. Just a clamp in the center, and then that's our guarantee right there to make sure everybody stays where they belong. Yeah, so you know, this is just another one of those examples of you work with what you have along the way. You problem solve and you figure out what direction to go, and then you just go. You know, I if it would have meant and if it would have been recommended to not add that material to the outside, then I would have just built them again. I mean, ultimately you want to do the right thing, so research and just kind of understanding, you know, wood aircraft construction in general. And I do really recommend the EAA's book on wood aircraft. It's a little bit dated. It's not modern by any means, but there's a lot of like really good information in there. And there's also an advisory circular on what, you know what, I'll link both of them here. I'll link the EAA book, or I take that back, I won't link them here. I'll link them down in the description. The advisory circular on wood aircraft building and the EAA's book, highly recommend. There's a lot to learn there, yeah. So, but I can tell you there is no greater joy than building a wood aircraft, and you know, as it starts to come together, it just gets even more exciting, you know. And things like this, you know, they happen, and you just kind of wrestle with it as you go. And I kind of had a thought as I was moving along about the overall dimension of this section right here at the firewall, and I wanted to see 19.5 is actually 19.25 is the dimension that is actually shown here. So that doesn't completely explain my other it's 19.5, so to the outside. So I actually ended up a little bit wider than this plan shows, but that little bit of extra width doesn't mean a thing. Actually, it probably helps a little bit. So yeah, so these are all set here, and they're ready to just cure. And once they're cured, we just have a little bit of sanding. The wood here is just a little bit proud of the plywood, so that'll be easy to just knock down with some 80 grit. And then I will that will be ready. Then that will be ready to install in the front end. And meanwhile, I will continue to think through how I want to handle pulling the plywood in, and I'm still sort of leaning toward the screw method, but I will let you know. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I do appreciate it, and as always, I will catch you later.